Welcome to self-study online training for awareness of ISO 9001 2015 version. The third class will study about documentation and quality management principles. Let's start. In ISO, documentation is important. So in documentation, there are two parts. The first one is document. The other part is record. So document in manual is the priority number one. There are quality policies, quality objectives, and the second level is procedure. Sometimes you call it processes. And third level is work instruction. The fourth level is form and the record. The difference between document and record is document, there is no additional record or encoding any data. But in record, when we fill up the forms, we call it record. So let's check what is it. Okay, let's continue about the documentation. Let's simply look at this note. Quality manual and system procedures are confidential documents. So ideally, it should not be distributed to any outsiders. Client, auditors may be allowed to see documents for reference purpose only. So that is confidential. The top is quality manual. The second level is procedures. This is confidential. Please remember this. And work instruction. And also work instructions are company specific and confidential as well. The fourth level is form, quality record, specifications, master list, etc. And quality record especially are company confidential. So let's see what is defined in ISO requirement clauses 4.4.
Hi there guys, Luke here back with another video. Today I want to go through another one of the ISO 9001-2015 clauses, that is clause 4.4, and it is entitled Quality Management System and its Processes. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now is, as usual, I'm going to walk you through the actual clause itself from the standard, just so you know which one it is I'm talking about. So if we have a look at this, this is clause 4.4. And it reads, the organisation shall establish, implement, maintain and continually improve a quality management system, including the processes needed and their interactions in accordance with the requirements of this international standard. The organisation shall determine the processes needed for the quality management system and their application throughout the organisation, and shall determine the inputs required and outputs expected from these processes, determine the sequence and interaction of these processes, determine and apply the criteria and methods, including monitoring, measurements and related performance indicators needed to ensure the effective operation and control of these processes, determine the resources needed for these processes and ensure their availability, assign the responsibilities and authorities for these processes, address the risks and opportunities as determined in accordance with the requirements of clause 6.1, which we will look at in a future video, evaluate these processes and implement any changes needed to ensure that these processes achieve their intended results. Improve the processes and the quality management system. To the extent necessary, the organisation shall maintain documented information to support the operation of its processes, and B, retain documented information to have confidence that the processes are being carried out as planned. Okay, so now you know which clause of ISO 9001-2015 I'm referring to. We will now jump into a Word document as we usually do, and I will explain to you step by step how I myself would conform to the requirements of that clause. So let's do that right now. Okay guys, so this is my working example of how I would conform to the requirements of clause 4.4. So this document is entitled Clause 4.4, Quality Management System and its Processes, the way Luke would do it. So similarly to the other clauses that we talked through, I've kind of broke down clause 4.4.1 and also 4.4.2 and showing you the sort of things that I would be thinking of if I was looking to try and build this clause or conform with this clause requirements in one of my quality systems. So if we look at, on the right here I've got the standard, and on the left here I have actually got the working example, or what I would recommend you do to conform with the requirements. So I've also included the relevant clause section. So this one here is clause 4.4.1 and it is A and B. Okay, same down here, this is clause 4.4.2, and what I've done here really is that should say A and B. So that's both them clause sections. So if we work our way down, so for clause 441 A and B, what I would consider you doing is producing a process map. So it basically shows the input and the output of the whole business process. So yes, you could delve a bit deeper than this, but skimming the surface, I've kind of outlined a typical business process. This could be a manufacturing facility that also offers site installation and commissioning. So this is a good example here. So I've got sales and marketing, then through to inquiries, a site survey or establish order requirements further, an order acceptance, so we're saying yes, we can do that job, we're happy with the requirements, we're happy that we can meet the requirements and provide a quality product or service. Manufacturing, so we actually manufacture that product. So there will obviously be intermittent inspections that may be across several different departments, several different machinery or processes within that. Testing / inspection, dispatch, installation on site, commissioning of the installation, the site installation or job pack returned, and then invoicing. As I said, that's a very simplistic process map, but it gives you an indication of what I am talking about here when I say a process map. So if we read these clauses again, it says determine the inputs required and the outputs expected from these processes. Well, yes, these run into each other. Determine the sequence and interaction of these processes. So yes, we've got a sequence there, we've got arrows, obviously sales and marketing, that leads into inquiries, hopefully, thumbs up if it does. The next one, C and D, supporting processes. So supporting processes, processes which support the main processes, which are these ones. So I've listed a few down, there may be many more, but the ones that I could think of while I was building this example are communication, documented information, training, competence and awareness. Obviously your staff or yourself, you need to have the skills, the ability, the training, competence and awareness in order to carry out the tasks and activities which you say you can. Resources, any additional resources, could be money, could be time, could be effort, could be anything really. Monitoring and measurement, do you need to audit that process? Do you need some equipment, calibrated equipment? Do you need vernier calipers? Do you need gauges? Do you need tape measures? KPIs or key performance indicators, if we're measuring our quality or our wastage in a process, KPIs could be a solid supporting process, specifically in manufacturing, where you might be measuring lead-in times, you might be in the sales, you might be monitoring call rates, amount of time spent on the phone, inquiries won and lost. You know, so KPIs have their place and they're a solid supporting process. So that actually meets the requirements of them two sections there. So C, determine and apply the criteria and methods including monitoring, measurement and related performance indicators needed to ensure the effective operation and control of these processes. We've done that there. D, determine the resources needed for these processes and ensure their availability. So what you'll need to make sure is that you're resourcing your processes. So this clause is top level, but it also, if you're not providing the resources you say you're going to provide, then you're not meeting that requirement. E, responsibilities and authorities. So when you're outlining your procedures or your written processes, you need to consider who is responsible for this process, who will be involved in administering this process, who needs to approve this process. So I put some examples down. It might be the purchasing department, it could be the sales department, it could be site engineers, it could be production operatives, or it could be the managing director. And it's so important and so vital to ensure that you put who is responsible for a particular process. If you're running for a purchasing procedure and for something that it has an order value of over £1,000, you want the MD or the managing director to sign off on it, then you need to state that in your procedure. And that's where a lot of companies fall down. The added bonus of doing that is that when someone picks up a procedure, either to do an internal audit or because they're a new starter and they're training off the procedure, they need to know who needs to do what and when they need to do it in the process. So that is critical. F, address the risks and opportunities as determined in accordance with the requirements of 6.1. So I've basically listed some risks and opportunities which I feel could be put into your written procedures to show you're considering risks and opportunities. So this is a new requirement of 9001/2015. Risks and opportunities is being pushed, and the way you can do this, we'll actually address this in a future video when we get to clause 6.1. But what I would say is the way that I've been addressing this is by producing risk mitigation plans, so getting companies to look at risks and opportunities relevant to their business, or you could see it as a kind of a SWOT analysis if you like. And many of you will already be doing these sorts of things, but it's beneficial for you to document it. And some of the assessors that come in, certification body assessors, they will want to talk to top management and they want to talk through the risks and opportunities relevant to their business to show that the top management and the leadership are giving consideration or due consideration to risks and opportunities that are relevant to their company. So that's really important. Things like pro forma invoicing. If you haven't used a certain customer or done any work for a certain customer before, pro forma them. That diminishes any risk, of a payment in the end. Cross-train the skills. Say you've got one guy that can use a CNC or a bandsaw. Get 2 or 3 guys trained on that CNC or bandsaw. You're mitigating your risk. If that guy leaves, if that guy gets ill, if he's on holiday, who's going to pick up that skill? So that's critical. New market developments. So push for new products, push for new markets. It can be beneficial, and usually the person that's first, it can be very lucrative. Technological changes. That could be use of social media, for example. That's a great example of a technological change which could give you a real distinct advantage in areas such as sales and marketing. So that would meet the requirements of F, and you need to consider that through all your procedures when you're writing them up. So G, evaluate these processes and implement any changes needed to ensure that these processes achieve their intended results. So what I've said is internal audits. I would imagine you developed an internal audit team. That would come in beneficial when you're evaluating your processes on a 6-monthly, 12-monthly basis. Obviously the standard says, dependent upon the risk, you will evaluate your procedures. So internal auditing, that's essential. The number of complaints that are being raised internally or because of suppliers or customers, or that can give you a good indication of how well your procedures are working. You may need to tweak them or move them around or amend them or introduce new procedures in order to reduce the number of complaints or issues raised. And finally, customer satisfaction. If the customers are giving you a thumbs up, it shows your processes are working well. And if they're giving you a thumbs down, you may need to have another look at perhaps dispatch or manufacturing may be too slow and customer needs the product now and you can't provide it for 2 weeks. You need to be looking at these sorts of things. H, improve the processes in the quality management system. So basically that boils down to amending existing procedures and implementing new procedures. Showing you are setting targets to do with procedures or objectives to do with procedures. That could be a beneficial way to meet the requirements of that clause. Now, clause 442. What I would say for this one is, and if I'll just read this clause out again to you, just so you're reminded of what it says. It says, A, maintain documented information to support the operations of processes. B, retain documented information to have confidence that the processes are being carried out as planned. So what I would say is maintain and retain documented information. Okay guys, so that concludes today's video. I appreciate you watching. If you have any further questions that you would like to ask, then please do drop them in the comments box below. If you liked what you saw, please do give me a thumbs up. And if you want...
Okay, we check ahead. Actually, these clauses we will study later. Okay, let's see what is the work instruction and how to prepare a good work instruction. Let's check it.
Hi friends, how are you? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna show you how to prepare a good work instruction. So what is work instruction? Work instruction is basically a step-by-step instruction prepared by a company to help workers carry out their routine operations. For example, running a bandsaw, running forklift. And a good work instruction is always clear so that everyone can understand, and also a good work instruction is visual, and also it should be accessible. Anybody should be able to see it basically, and also it should be only the person who knows things should make it. Also it should be simple, easy, short and consistent. So guys, I have created a simple work instruction template through the Word document. You can use other software such as Excel or PowerPoint to create work instruction as well. But for this tutorial I have used Word document, and I have tried to make it as simple as possible so that everyone can understand. So in this simple work instruction template, here is a company logo on the header. So you can just put your company logo, picture of your company, and then after that, on the top right hand side or left hand side, it really doesn't matter, it's your choice. So you can put work instruction title, for example, how to operate bandsaw or how to drive a forklift, and then the category will be work instruction, or you can create your own category. And then you can write these kind of things in your work instruction, for example, to be carried out only by the person trained and authorized to perform this task. So and if you highlight them in red, then people's eyes will go on those sentences, so that you can avoid any safety risk. And then after that, you can write purpose of your work instruction, for example, to provide instruction on how to drive a forklift or how to operate a particular machine. And then after that, you have to write PPE required. PPE means personal protective equipment required. So either you can just write the name of PPE, or you can insert the picture of those PPE, for example, gloves, boots, and safety glasses. And then after that, it's better if you list the hazards, cautions, or dangers related to the operation of that particular work instruction. For example, if this work instruction is on how to operate bandsaw, then it could be, the danger could be injury, or maybe could be cutting your finger. And then equipment required obviously would be bandsaw and maybe blade, and some other equipment as well. And training requires maybe manual handling, or safe operation of bandsaw, and there could be some other trainings as well. And then after that, you always have to list quality assurance requirements. So for example, it could be something like always keep the equipment clean, and do not put the products on floor, back to shelf. And then after that, you have to write a detailed procedure, which should be very simple, so it can have several subheadings, and then the step 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. So in step 1, you can just write the statement something like plug in the machine and then provide a picture. So remember guys, work instructions should always be visual, and it should be very simple. And I prefer work instruction to be in direct speech. For example, plug in the machine rather than machine should be plugged. So direct speech always provides easier instructions and direct instructions. And also you can put the warning signs in red. For example, here warning signs such as ensure that hand is dry when plugging in. And similarly, you can put other work instructions. Here I have shown few work instructions, on few instructions only, but depending on your work instruction, it can be many steps, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And you can also have subheading depending on the need. So it really depends on your work instruction. And at the end, you can provide a statement such as when things goes wrong, maybe immediately inform your manager, or immediately inform your safety managers, and something like that. So it's really your choice. And for a document control, you can provide the number of work instruction, version, and page, and also safety slogans such as safety first or something like that. So for a better document control, and you can keep it safely somewhere in your computer.
Yes, we study about documentation, quality manual, and system procedures, work instruction, then forms and record, and others. And we have quality management principles in 2015 version. There are 7 here. customer focus, leadership, engagement of people, process approach. This one is related with TQM, TQC as we study at the first class. And number 5, improvement, evidence-based decision making, and relationship management. So uh, let's check 7 principles.
ISO 9001 is based on 7 quality management principles, which are defined in ISO 9000 2015 and ISO 9004 2009, and are intended to provide senior management with a framework for improving performance within the organization. Let's take a look at each one of these principles right now. The first quality management principle is customer focus, and it maintains that organizations should understand current and future customer needs and requirements and always strive to exceed expectations. I think it goes without saying that if you could focus on the customer's needs and constantly find ways to improve how you deliver on those needs, you will see increased revenue and repeat business. The second principle is leadership. We all know that strong leadership is key in the success of any business. Leaders in an organization set the direction and create an environment for people to buy in and get involved and be motivated in achieving established organizational objectives. This promotes unity and effective communication. The next quality management principle is engagement of people, and this ties in with the previous principle, which was leadership. Leaders set the tone, but the benefits are truly apparent when you have full involvement of the people at all levels of the organization. Having this involvement promotes innovation, creativity, and accountability, among other benefits. The fourth principle is a process approach, and we will discuss this in more detail coming up. But by managing resources and activities as a process, a desired outcome can be obtained far more efficiently and effectively, while improving costs and achieving predictable and consistent results. Next, we have improvement, which unfortunately is highly overlooked by many organizations, but should be a high-focused area and a constant objective for improvement at all levels of organizational performance. The sixth quality management principle is a key element of effective management, and that is evidence-based decision-making. Making informed, fact-based decisions through careful analysis that can be backed up with data and available information. And the final quality management principle that forms the basis for the ISO 9000 group of standards is relationship management, realizing that the organization and its external partners must have an interdependent relationship that promotes value. Both have a stake in the game and must work together to achieve consistent and yet flexible results to create value for both parties. So these are the 7 principles for quality management that structure the ISO 9001 2015 standard. It is wise that an organization build off of these principles when developing a quality management system. Hi, I'm Greg Peckford, founder at QCAonline.com. If you like this video and would like to know more about the ISO 9001 2015 standard, come check us out at QCAonline.com and explore the Mastering ISO 9001 20.
Yes, we'll study more at the back, so don't worry about it. Just like a heads up, we have 7 principles of quality management. Let's see. On the left, this is 2008 version. There are 8 quality management principles, and 2015 version there are 7, and some terminology change it. Yes, like involvement of people, engagement and competence of people, something like that. And this one is eliminated, deleted. Actually, system approach is very similar to process approach. Yes, so this is 2015 version principles. And for example, this one, mutual beneficial supplier relationship is changed to relationship management. So this is number one principle, customer focus. If you want to study more, stop this video for a while and take a look this one. I'd like to watch video for customer focus.
Quality management principle number 1, customer focus statement. The primary focus of quality management is to meet customer requirements and to strive to exceed customer expectations. Rationale: sustained success is achieved when an organization attracts and retains the confidence of customers and other interested parties. Every aspect of customer interaction provides an opportunity to create more value for the customer. Understanding current and future needs of customers and other interested parties contributes to sustained success of the organization. Key benefits: increased customer value, increased customer satisfaction, improved customer loyalty, enhanced repeat business, enhanced reputation of the organization, expanded customer base, increased revenue and market share. Actions you can take: recognize direct and indirect customers as those who receive value from the organization. Understand customers' current and future needs and expectations. Link the organization's objectives to customer needs and expectations. Communicate customer needs and expectations throughout the organization. Plan, design, develop, produce, deliver, and support goods and services to meet customer needs and expectations. Measure and monitor customer satisfaction, and take appropriate actions. Determine and take actions on interested parties' needs and expectations that can affect customer satisfaction. Actively manage relationships with customers to achieve sustained success. Thanks for watching. If you have any question, you can feel free to ask.
Okay, there is a reason why customer focus is number one. In TPS, Toyota Production System, they say customer is the one who pay your salary. And they define work. If you cannot deliver any value to the customer, that is not the work. The work is only defined when you make value for the customer, that is the work. So always customer focus and customer, put them on the first. And the second one is about the leadership. So let's check first the content.
Quality management principle number 2, leadership statement. Leaders at all levels establish unity of purpose and direction, and create conditions in which people are engaged in achieving the organization's quality objectives. Rationale: creation of unity of purpose and direction and engagement of people enable an organization to align its strategies, policies, processes, and resources to achieve its objectives. Key benefits: increased effectiveness and efficiency in meeting the organization's quality objectives, better coordination of the organization's processes, improved communication between levels and functions of the organization, development and improvement of the capability of the organization and its people to deliver desired results. Actions you can take: communicate the organization's mission, vision, strategy, policies, and processes throughout the organization. Create and sustain shared values, fairness, and ethical models for behavior at all levels of the organization. Establish a culture of trust and integrity. Encourage an organization-wide commitment to quality. Ensure that leaders at all levels are positive examples to people in the organization. Provide people with the required resources, training, and authority to act with accountability. Inspire, encourage, and recognize people's contribution. Thanks for watching. If you have any
Okay, take a look more deeply about the leadership. This guy, Jack Welch, is the one I really admire. He was the former CEO of GE, and he has some innovative management and his impact in the world. Let's see how he defined leadership and how it works.
In the leadership job, we're going to want to see from you, not we, but the nation will want to see from you, your own nation will want to see from you, how much energy do you have? How can you energize others? How do you get others to do things? How much edge do you have? Can you say yes or no? Or are you one of those people that always wants a little more data? A maybe person. Let's bring it back in a month and we'll look at it again. I hate those people. You don't want to be one of those people. And then can you execute? Not just put the great story together, but can you deliver? So those are the things. And how much do you care? Care about your people, care about winning, all those things. Those are the things that are going to be the ingredients that are going to decide if that's what you want. Now, on the other hand, you can be an economist, you can do a whole series of different things that won't demand all of that. It'll demand the skills that you've built here to carry on a lot of other things. So I'm not saying, I'm talking here about leadership. I'm not talking about the other niches that you can pick and the skills that you can excel at. So you can, once you leave here, you get a myriad of options. That's the nice thing. And you can pick really from a big wide spectrum of things.
So in this part, Jack Welch, he defined leadership as 4E plus 1P. 4P consists of energy, energize, edge, execute, and 1P is passion. Energy means skill. Energize means how you can motivate, how you encourage your staff. And edge means even you can be blamed by others, the leader should make decision on time. Do not delay it. And the fourth one, in any circumstances, the leader should have performance. And 1P means passion, so all 4E should be surrounded by passion. In Asia, Korea, and Japan, like that, they can say it as ownership. Okay. The principle 3, engagement of people.
Quality management principle number 3, engagement of people. Statement. Competent, empowered and engaged people at all levels throughout the organization are essential to enhance its capability, to create and deliver value. Rationale. To manage an organization effectively and efficiently, it is important to involve all people at all levels and to respect them as individuals. Recognition, empowerment, and enhancement of competence facilitate the engagement of people in achieving the organization's quality objectives. Key benefits. Improved understanding of the organization's quality objectives by people in the organization, and increased motivation to achieve them. Enhanced involvement of people in improvement activities. Enhanced personal development, initiatives and creativity. Enhanced people satisfaction. Enhanced trust and collaboration throughout the organization. Increased attention to shared values and culture throughout the organization. Actions you can take. Communicate with people to promote understanding of the importance of their individual contribution. Promote collaboration throughout the organization. Facilitate open discussion. and sharing of knowledge and experience. Empower people to determine constraints to performance and to take initiatives without fear. Recognize and acknowledge people's contribution, learning and improvement. Enable self-evaluation of performance against personal objectives. Conduct surveys to assess people's satisfaction. Communicate the results and take appropriate actions. Thanks for watching. If you have any question, you can feel.
In this part, I want to say like this. If you want to go faster, you go alone. But if you want to go further, go together. So when you have some kind of project, please remember, engage your people related. So engagement of people is also important. That is principle 3. And number 4, process approach.
ISO 9001 Quality Management Principle Number 4, Process Approach. Statement. Consistent and predictable results are achieved more effectively and efficiently when activities are understood and managed as interrelated processes that function as a coherent system. Rationale. The quality management system consists of interrelated processes. Understanding how results are produced by the system enables an organization to optimize the system and its performance. Key benefits. Enhanced ability to focus effort on key processes and opportunities for improvement. Consistent and predictable outcomes through a system of aligned processes. Optimized performance through effective process management, efficient use of resources, and reduced cross-functional barriers, enabling the organization to provide confidence to interested parties as to its consistency, effectiveness, and efficiency. Actions you can take. Define objectives of the system and processes necessary to achieve them. Establish authority, responsibility, and accountability for managing processes. Understand the organization's capabilities and determine resource constraints prior to action. Determine process interdependencies and analyze the effect of modifications to individual processes on the system as a whole. Manage processes and their interrelations as a system to achieve the organization's quality objectives effectively and efficiently. Ensure the necessary information is available to operate and improve the processes, and to monitor, analyze, and evaluate the performance of the overall system. Manage risks that can affect outputs of the processes and overall outcomes of the quality management system. Thanks for watching. If you have any.
Yes, process approach is really important. So for process approach, we have to research and analyze more about the process. After that, we need documentation. So we can modify and we can do continual improvement for the process. And process approach, like PDCA cycle, is also together with process approach. Let's take a look at this one for a while. The management of process and the system as a whole can be achieved using PDCA cycle with an overall focus on risk-based thinking aimed at taking advantage of opportunities and preventing undesirable result. Do you remember PDCA cycle? We call it Deming cycle. And number 5, improvement.
ISO 9001 Quality Management Principle Number 5, Improvement. Statement. Successful organizations have an ongoing focus on improvement. Rationale. Improvement is essential for an organization to maintain current levels of performance, to react to changes in its internal and external conditions, and to create new opportunities. Key benefits. Improved process performance, organizational capabilities, and customer satisfaction. Enhanced focus on root cause investigation and determination, followed by prevention and corrective actions. Enhanced ability to anticipate and react to internal and external risks and opportunities. Enhanced consideration of both incremental and breakthrough improvement. Improved use of learning for improvement. Enhanced drive for innovation. Actions you can take. Promote establishment of improvement objectives at all levels of the organization. Educate and train people at all levels on how to apply basic tools and methodologies to achieve improvement objectives. Ensure people are competent to successfully promote and complete improvement projects. Develop and deploy processes to implement improvement projects throughout the organization. Track, review, and audit the planning, implementation, completion, and results of improvement projects. Integrate improvement considerations into the development of new or modified goods, services, and processes. Recognize and acknowledge improvement. Thanks for watching. If you have any question,
Okay, in this case, let's see the related concept from TPS, Toyota Production System.
Kaizen is a Japanese word. It consists of two parts, kai and zen. These two words respectively mean the change and good. Kai means the change, and the zen means the good. Together these mean good change, or the continual improvement. It is an approach to make improvement, involving everyone in the organization. Here is a quotation from Winston Churchill on changing to improve. The focus here is on frequent improvements. In this presentation we will look at the definition of Kaizen, why we need it, a quick history of Kaizen and steps to implement Kaizen. So let's get started with the definition of Kaizen on the next slide. We have already talked about this at the beginning of the presentation. The word Kaizen consists of two parts, kai and zen. Kai means good, and zen means change. Together they mean continual improvement. These are small improvement as a result of ongoing work. Quality gurus Masaaki Imai founded the Kaizen Institute to promote this concept in Western world. He defines Kaizen as the improvements by everyone, everywhere, and every day. Kaizen was developed by Japanese companies through their improvement efforts over the years. Kaizen is now widely recognized and adopted even by many non-Japanese companies worldwide. Kaizen is a daily process, the purpose of which goes beyond simple productivity improvement. It is also a process that, when done correctly, humanizes the workplace, eliminates the hard work, and teaches people how to spot and eliminate waste. One of the pioneers in developing Kaizen was Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of Toyota Industries. He developed widely recognized Toyota production system. Although the Western world recognized that Japanese manufacturing companies were most efficient, it was not until 1986 that they were introduced to the concept of Kaizen. It was because of the popularity of Masaaki Imai's best-selling book on Kaizen that the whole world got to understand the principles of Kaizen in a better way. If Kaizen is implemented without any direction, it may not provide the expected results. For effective implementation, the company policy and direction is communicated to all. All improvement efforts should align with the company policy. When launching the Kaizen effort in the company, it is suggested to prepare a business case. This defines the gap between customer expectations and the company processes. This gap provides a reason to make changes and improvements. This is necessary to gain buy-in from all interested parties, including the senior management. This slide presents some of the examples of business cases to implement Kaizen. Once the business case to implement Kaizen is approved and agreed upon, it is the time to set some stretch goals. Goals need to smart and align with the company policy. Implementation teams are formed based on the area of improvement. Rather than having like-minded people, it is always good to have a diverse team. Getting different sets of eyes to look at the problem helps. Don't forget to put members from the actual work area. The best ideas come from the person directly executing the process. Once the team is formed, the team goes through these steps. It is important to document the current state of the process. This helps in evaluating at the later stage what sort of improvements are achieved. Wastes are identified. There are 8 types of wastes. If you are looking for details, there is another video available on 8 types of wastes. Changes identified by the team are made, documented and standardized. On successful completion of the project, the presentation is made to the management and success is celebrated. This process is repeated again and again to improve the process. For Kaizen initiative to be successful, this should have full support of the management and all parties involved in the process. Kaizen Blitz is one approach to implement Kaizen. In the term Kaizen Blitz, Kaizen means continuous improvement, and Blitz means lightning fast. That means that Kaizen Blitz is a more focused approach to yield better and quicker results. This approach brings together key stakeholders and process owners for 1 to 5 days to develop an implementation plan and begin working on implementing solutions. Thanks for listening to this video.
Okay, principle number 6, evidence-based decision making.
ISO 9001 Quality Management Principle Number 6, Evidence-Based Decision Making. Statement. Decisions based on the analysis and evaluation of data and information are more likely to produce desired results. Rationale. Decision-making can be a complex process, and it always involves some uncertainty. It often involves multiple types and sources of inputs, as well as their interpretation, which can be subjective. It is important to understand cause and effect relationships, and potential unintended consequences. Facts, evidence, and data analysis led to greater objectivity and confidence in decision-making. Key benefits. Improved decision-making processes, improved assessment of process performance and ability to achieve objectives, improved operational effectiveness and efficiency, increased ability to review, challenge, and change opinions and decisions, increased ability to demonstrate the effectiveness of past decisions. Actions you can take. Determine, measure, and monitor key indicators to demonstrate the organization's performance, make all data needed available to the relevant people, ensure that data and information are sufficiently accurate, reliable and secure, analyze and evaluate data and information using suitable methods, ensure people are competent to analyze and evaluate data as needed, make decisions and take actions based on evidence, balanced with experience and intuition. Thanks for watching.
And the last, principle number 7, relationship management.
ISO 9001 Quality Management Principle Number 7, Relationship Management Statement. For sustained success, an organization manages its relationships with interested parties, such as suppliers. Rationale: interested parties influence the performance of an organization. Sustained success is more likely to be achieved when the organization manages relationships with all of its interested parties to optimize their impact on its performance. Relationship management with its supplier and partner networks is of particular importance. Key benefits: enhanced performance of the organization and its interested parties through responding to the opportunities and constraints related to each interested party. Common understanding of goals and values among interested parties. Increased capability to create value for interested parties by sharing resources and competence and managing quality-related risks. A well-managed supply chain that provides a stable flow of goods and services. Actions you can take: determine relevant interested parties such as suppliers, partners, customers, investors, employees, and society as a whole in their relationship with the organization. Determine and prioritize interested party relationships that need to be managed. Establish relationships that balance short-term gains with long-term considerations. Pool and share information, expertise, and resources with relevant interested parties. Measure performance and provide performance feedback to interested parties as appropriate to enhance improvement initiatives. Establish collaborative development and improvement activities with suppliers, partners, and other interested parties. Encourage and recognize improvements and achievements by suppliers and partners. The next step. This document provides a general perspective on the quality management principles underlying ISO's quality management standards. It gives an overview of these principles and shows how, collectively, they can form a basis for performance improvement and organizational excellence. There are many different ways of applying these quality management principles. The nature of the organization and the specific challenges it faces will determine how to implement them. Many organizations will find it beneficial to set up a quality management system based on these principles. Further information on ISO 9000, ISO 9001 and related ISO quality management standards is available from ISO's national member bodies or from the www.iso.org. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I'll finish about quality management principles, and let's check again about the PDCA cycle. The plan establishes the objectives of the system and its processes, like that, and do implementation. Implement what was planned. Check, monitor, and measure the process, and take action to improve performance as necessary. So let's see again for PDCA cycle.
Today I will be explaining something. May to you it be very interesting. I've taken upon me this task that at the end your understanding can spark. You see, in quality management there's a concept under continuous improvement, a cycle called plan, do, check, act, introduced in the 1950s by W. Edward Deming just to keep you on track. Often referred to as the Deming cycle or the Schuhart cycle just to add another title, where change and problem solving is at the heart of this concept created by Deming. Just 4 phases is what it involves, then repeat and repeat until your problems are resolved. Step 1 starts with plan, identifying and analyzing your problems as best as you can. Establish the objectives and processes necessary to deliver results in accordance with the expected goals successfully. Tools like the 5 whys and the cause and effect diagram can be used for this, so don't be alarmed. It helps you get to the root of the problem, like fixing an objective, so don't be troubled. Just take your time and map out your points. Trust me, it won't disappoint. It simply acts like your guide for your uncertainty to subside. Do is your second step. Grab your text on page 293 and let us check. Here you develop and test a potential solution so your problems you can solve with absolution. In other words, for you to move forward, implement the plan and execute the process, maybe a pilot project can be used to test. Phase 3 is where you check. Now remember this, it may come on your test. Study your actual and expected results to ascertain any differences, and with others you can consult. Let's repeat what I just said. Maybe you would understand this instead. Step 3, you measure how effective the solution was and improve it before you move along. Yes, you may have to revisit step 2, where your solutions you may have to redo. This gives you a better chance to identify any problems that have been magnified. New ideas can be triggered, so make your changes and do not linger. Once you're finished, you can come back and check to further limit your mistakes you would regret. Last but not least is step number 4. I really hope this poem is not a bore. Here is where you want to act. That, my friends, is a known fact. You want to implement your solution fully to ensure your processes does not end up in folly. The PDCA cycle doesn't stop there. If you want, you can go back to step 1, I swear. This way, you can seek out areas for improvement, then you're one step closer to total quality management. This brings us to the end of our lesson. I hope for your exam you won't be stressing. Just to be sure, just look at this picture. As simple as it is, it explains the PDCA structure.
And then let's see what is risk-based thinking. This one is added to 2015 version. So let's check it.
What is risk-based thinking as required in ISO 9001:2015? Hello, I'm Terry McCann. TC 176, the technical committee responsible for producing ISO 9001:2015, put out a publicly available guidance document titled Risk-Based Thinking in ISO 9001:2015. This presentation is largely based on that document, which can be found at the URL shown on this slide. ISO 9001:2008 has a requirement for a documented procedure for preventive action to be done when appropriate after corrections and corrective action. The approach was a reactive response to an adverse event or nonconformity. In ISO 9001:2015, the notion of preventive action has morphed into a more proactive preventive approach to be applied in all the major processes of the quality management system, from planning through design and development, manufacturing and customer support and service. In this new incarnation, it has been called risk-based thinking, or RBT. Firstly, what is risk? The answer depends on your dictionary or glossary of terms. The common or popular understanding is that where there is risk, there is a chance or some probability that something adverse will happen as an effect of pursuing a benefit or opportunity. ISO 13485:2016 for medical devices defines risk as the combination of the probability of occurrence of harm and the severity of that harm, and then points out in a note that this definition differs from that in ISO 9000:2015. According to ISO 9000, which defines the terms used in ISO 9001, risk is simply the effect of uncertainty. Defect is a deviation from what is intended and might be a positive or negative deviation. As Humpty Dumpty said to Alice in Wonderland, "When I use a word, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less." ISO exercises the same prerogative as Humpty Dumpty. So what then is risk-based thinking, or RBT? It is worth noting that there is no definition provided in ISO 9000:2015. There is some explanation in ISO 9001:2015, Clause 0.3.3 and Appendix A.4. TC 176 tells us that RBT is something we all do automatically in everyday life. For example, if I wish to cross a road, I look for traffic before I begin. I will not step in front of a moving car. That sounds like common sense, but the American Center for Disease Control tells us that in 2013, 4,735 pedestrians were killed in traffic crashes in the United States alone. That averages to about 13 per day. Additionally, more than 150,000 pedestrians were treated in emergency departments for non-fatal crash-related injuries in 2013, averaging to 411 per day. As someone said, common sense is not as common as we like to assume. I suppose that is why TC 176 decided to spell out where to apply RBT in the system of processes making up a quality management system, QMS. Not all the processes of a quality management system hold the same level of risk in terms of the organization's ability to meet its quality objectives. Some need more careful and formal planning and controls for risk than others. For example, to cross the road, I may go directly or I may use a nearby footbridge. Which process I choose will be determined by planning beforehand and considering the risks. In ISO 9001, opportunity is not merely the positive side of risk. An opportunity is a set of circumstances which makes it possible to do something. Taking or not taking an opportunity then presents different levels of risk. For example, crossing the road directly gives me an opportunity to reach the other side quickly, but if I take that opportunity, there is an increased risk of injury from moving cars. RBT considers both the current situation and possible scenarios for change. For example, analysis of this road situation shows opportunities for improvement, such as a subway leading directly under the road, or pedestrian traffic lights, or diverting the road so that the area has no traffic. As mentioned previously, ISO 9001:2015 requires RBT to be applied in all the major processes of the QMS, from planning through design and development, manufacturing and customer support and service. It also requires RBT to be applied in the planning and formulation of the quality management system itself, beginning with the requirement for top management to identify internal and external parties with an interest in the effectiveness of the QMS to achieve desired results for products and services. For the same reason, top management is to identify positive and negative issues that present opportunities and risks that are relevant to the quality of products and services. These all need to be taken into account when planning and formulating the quality management system. Remember, there is no requirement for RBT to be formalized into a documented process, nor is there any stipulation as to retained documentation or records. However, we need to be prepared to present some form of evidence that we have engaged appropriately in risk-based thinking. This does require some forethought and planning. We continue to use our pedestrian crossing the road to illustrate how to apply RBT. Firstly, identify what your risks are. This depends on our organizational context. For example, if I cross a busy multi-lane road with many fast-moving cars, the risks are not the same as if the road is small with very few moving cars. It is also necessary to consider such things as weather, visibility, personal mobility and agility, and specific personal objectives. Understand your risks. What is acceptable? What is unacceptable? What advantages or disadvantages are there to one process over another? For example, my objective is that I need to safely cross a road to reach a meeting at a given time. It is unacceptable to be late. It is even more unacceptable to be injured. Reaching my goal more quickly must be balanced against the likelihood of injury. It is more important that I reach my meeting uninjured than it is for me to reach my meeting on time. It may be acceptable to delay arriving at the other side of the road by using a footbridge if the likelihood of being injured by crossing the road directly is high. I analyze the situation. The footbridge is 200 meters away and will add time to my journey. The weather is good, the visibility is good, and I can see that the road does not have many cars at this time. I decide that walking directly across the road carries an acceptably low level of risk of injury and will help me reach my meeting on time. Plan actions to address the risks by asking, how can I avoid or eliminate the risk? How can I mitigate risks? For example, I could eliminate risk of injury caused by being hit by a vehicle if I use the footbridge, but I have already decided that the risk involved in crossing the road is acceptable. Now I plan how to reduce either the likelihood or the impact of injury. I cannot reasonably expect to control the impact of a car hitting me. I can reduce the probability of being hit by a car. I plan to cross at a time when there are no close cars moving towards me and so reduce the likelihood of an accident. I also plan to cross the road at a place where I have good visibility. Then implement the plan. Take action. For example, I move to the side of the road, check there are no barriers to crossing. I check there are no cars coming. I continue to look for cars whilst crossing the road. Check the effectiveness of the action. Does it work? For example, I arrive at the other side of the road unharmed and on time. That's good. This plan worked and undesirable effects have been avoided. Learn from experience and improve. For example, I repeat execution of the plan over several days at different times and in different weather conditions. This gives me data to understand that changing context, like time, weather, volume of cars, directly affects the effectiveness of the plan and increases the probability that I will not achieve my objectives, being on time and avoiding injury. Experience teaches me that crossing the road at certain times of day is very dangerous because there are too many cars. To limit the risk, I revise and improve my process by using the footbridge at these times. I continue to analyze the effectiveness of the processes and revise them when the context changes. I also continue to consider innovative opportunities such as, can I move the meeting place so that the road does not have to be crossed? Can I change the time of the meeting so that I can cross the road when it is quiet? Can we meet electronically? Clause 0.3.2 of the Introduction to the Standard provides a strong recommendation to apply the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle to all processes and to the quality management system as a whole. Whenever planning is done, it needs to identify and address risks and opportunities. Similarly, risk is implicit whenever the words determined, suitable, or appropriate are mentioned, as these are all planning stage concepts, even if the planning is only brief and informal. Thus, RBT is called for where appropriate in all the requirements clauses of ISO 9001:2015. Clause 4. In determining its QMS processes, the organization is required to identify and address its risks and opportunities. Clause 5. Top management is required to promote awareness of risk-based thinking and determine and address risks and opportunities that can affect product or service conformity. Clause 6. The organization is required to identify risks and opportunities related to QMS performance and take appropriate actions to address them. Clause 7. The organization is required to determine and provide necessary resources as appropriate. Remember, risk is implicit whenever the words determined, suitable, or appropriate are mentioned. Clause 8. The organization is required to plan and manage its operational processes as appropriate. Clause 9. The organization is required to monitor, measure, analyze, and evaluate effectiveness of actions taken to address the risks and opportunities. Clause 10. The organization is required to correct, prevent, or reduce undesired effects and improve the QMS and update risks and opportunities. Wherever there is a requirement for records or documentation to be retained, consider including some evidence of risk identification and evaluation having been performed, but only if this will add value for the organization. Under the requirements of Clause 6.1, the organization is responsible for its application of risk-based thinking and the actions it takes to address risk, including whether or not to retain documented information as evidence of its determination of risks. There is thus no requirement to keep records of RBT activities, as is clearly stated in Appendix A of the standard. Applying risk-based thinking greatly increases the likelihood of realizing the following benefits: improved governance, a proactive culture of improvement, enhanced statutory and regulatory compliance, greater consistency in quality of products and services, improved customer confidence and satisfaction. Successful companies will have the common sense to intuitively incorporate risk-based thinking into their quality management. In summary then, risk-based thinking is not new. It's something you do already as common sense in an ongoing manner. RBT ensures greater knowledge of risks and improves preparedness to deal with them. It increases the likelihood of reaching objectives and reduces the probability of undesirable outcomes. Finally, RBT makes a proactive habit from the old proverb, prevention is better than cure. I would like to thank TC176 for making their guidance on risk-based thinking freely available. More publicly available information from TC176 can be found at the URL on this slide.
Okay, let's see the next class. Thank you.